Tyler King,
Here.
Scotty Pitts,
Here.
Zachary Marlowe,
Here.
Sue Nance,
Probably good with Ms. Nance.
that gives us a quorum of 5.
Alright, so, I think most of you got a copy of the agenda, so how we're gonna do this is, we're gonna go down by sections, and if there's any questions about sections or revisions that we see that need to be changed or something like that, we go over that time, instead of doing the whole thing and then have to go back and change anything or whatever as far as that goes, so. And then what we'll do is we'll discuss and review, each section of the agenda as we go, not at the end, so we'll do that. And then, like I say, any changes that anybody sees that needs to be made on either side, we can look at that, and then after all that's done, we'll do the final approval, of the contract if needed. All right, so the first thing, we'll go over would be pages 1 and 2. Basically, that's your, just your general information, as far as like where the property is located at, square footage of the building, where we're listed as the lessor, and FCCA would be listed as a lessee. You can see any language that needs to be changed or any objections to that.
See that?
Alright. FCCA, you guys see anything that needs to be changed on that? I mean, I guess you probably went over it, didn't you?
Yeah.
Okay, alright.
Mr. Chairman, looks pretty good on 1 and 2.
Okay, the next one, like, you go to, on the exhibit B, I think that was sent out today for everybody to look at. Give me a minute to look over that. Okay.
It's, just to clarify, when the FCCA took over in 2015, is there any county furniture replacement company?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Is there any county owned equipment currently in there, like as far as furniture?
It was empty. It was empty. I mean,
I thought it was, but I was wondering.
You guys want to get your language?
Do you need more time to look over that?
I got a question, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Terry, most all the FCCA, most all of the furniture and most everything in there is actually produced by you all, correct? I'm saying right up, maybe up till 90% of it, right?
Well,
No.
when we took the shelter over, the former organization removed all their contents, and it was virtually stripped to the walls, except for what was permanent there.
If it wasn't nailed down,
It was gone in there.
So that percentage is extremely high then.
Including the curtains.
Yeah, I had been told that, yeah.
Commissioner Kiss, everything that we own is on this paper right here.
Where's it at?
That's your exhibit B that you got today.
Says right top of the page, Campbell County owns fixtures, furniture, and equipment.
I don't have that one. I don't have that one. That's why I asked you, because I didn't have
That's all
this.
right, that's all right.
Thank you.
I brought a bunch of
Do
copies.
you need this approved before we move on?
Yes. Need a motion to approve exhibit B.
Make a motion, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Mr. Kiss, I have a second.
I'll second.
Second by Mr. King. Any discussion? Any more discussion? Roll call.
Tyler King,
Yes.
Scotty Pitts,
Yes.
Zachary Marlowe,
Yes.
Johnny Bruce,
Yes.
Wayne Bear.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, the reason I asked that, I didn't have this, so I had all the rights to ask that
Got
question.
it,
Thank
got it.
you.
Moving on.
I brought a bunch of copies, I didn't know it.
Thank you.
And
All right, next thing will be page 3, paragraphs 2 and 3, reference an animal control vehicle. Paragraph 2 basically goes over, the current animal control vehicle, they currently have. And then paragraph 3 will go over potential, purchase of a new animal control vehicle. Anybody see anything on that? I do have something. So on the vehicle, it says pay a one-time lump sum. My understanding is it was gonna be cheaper if the county purchased through a state contract.
That would be wonderful. There was a paragraph in here, but it was removed, that provided that the county would utilize their facilities to make enough for an
Okay.
appropriate vehicle.
So would it be best that we change that to, or it says we pay a one-time lump sum, but we need to make some type of arrangement where the county would look into purchasing the truck as opposed to paying a one-time lump sum.
You guys okay with that?
Yeah, so the county is going to retain ownership of.
We will be leasing it to you guys,
Leasing it
just
back,
like we
right.
do now.
Right.
And I will note that we added the word and box. You see, we talk about truck and box.
Mhm.
And the reason for that is the box is the important part. The truck just carries the important part, that's the box.
Right.
So whatever vehicle we get has to be able to
We
accommodate.
might be able to see if on the state contract, we can't get a dog box as well, potentially, and see if we can't go about it that way.
We're just trying to make it as cheaply as possible.
Right, yeah, that's my goal too, so,
Mr. Chairman, question.
yes.
Terry, my understanding too, with the $40,000, the truck is okay now. We're just gonna, if someone, truck does go down, the county's gonna give the money to y'all so we can get a new truck. Is that the way it works?
Well, that's not exactly it.
Okay, do you want me to explain that to us?
The truck is about ready to die.
Okay.
I mean, it's reached the end of its useful life. And so we're just anticipating that we're gonna need a new truck.
Okay.
It may not be new necessarily, but for us, it'll be new. But we just want a good serviceable truck.
It'll be new considering what you got now, right?
Yeah, replace what we have now.
All right, thank you, sir.
And I don't know how you would give the money to us because you've got to buy it through the thing, so it actually is money you guys would use
Correct.
to purchase it. It
Correct.
wouldn't be given to the FCCA.
So the thing about it is we need the language in there. though.
Exactly, that's what I was thinking, yeah.
The language
Purchase
that,
the truck.
It needs to be,
Hold on, Commissioner Kids, Joe?
the language that's in there now was at the recommendation of the finance department, and they would, of course, look at the state contract, you know, to see what they could get there. Most likely, that's gonna be the best deal, but, you know, this gives them the flexibility to go wherever they could get the better deal. That was why it was changed.
I guess my biggest thing is if we're gonna go that route, does it need to say we're gonna pay a one-time lump sum of 40,000? When technically that's not correct.
Technically, you'd be paying that for the truck. I mean,
That's-
Well,
yeah.
Potentially, I mean, if we get it cheaper, obviously we
You
wouldn't
can
need.
get a good decent truck for 30, that's fine.
that's why I was asking the question I was asking.
Yeah.
Up to.
Right, but according to this, are we paying it to FCCA or?
Yeah, that's-
No.
Okay.
No, like I said, the truck is to be titled to Campbell County.
Right.
So you wouldn't be paying it
Okay.
through FCCA.
Okay, and as far as the truck that we just have now, is that something we're gonna surplus?
It comes back to us.
That's what I'm saying, are we gonna surplus it? With that being said, is the box reusable?
I would
Yeah,
think
it's-
so,
it's
but I
not in
don't
great
know
shape.
personally. Is it, do you know whether it's reusable, Scotty?
It's not in great shape. One of the floors for the side crates are down. It needs some work to it.
Okay,
If you go on light pickup box, the light pickup box, it would be, but if you stayed with a Ford, went with a new Ford, the boxes are totally different, and so it wouldn't fit.
okay. Is it, other than just the truck, is there something that you use the box for?
Scotty?
Rephrase that,
So if we bought a new box,
right?
could you just use the box for something else?
If we had a similar vehicle to what we have now, yeah.
Or could you use it on, I mean, if you didn't have it on a vehicle, I mean,
No,
I'm saying
you
we
can't.
bought you a new box and a new truck, can you use the box for anything? Or
You
is it
can't just
gonna be
like sit on the
surplus?
ground, use it to put dogs in, no.
Okay, all right.
Mr. Chairman, I say just directly to you, I say what's, I'm seeing here, Coach Bruce is, and Terry, is that we're going to buy a truck, they're gonna lease it from us, then that's it, that's the way we're gonna do it.
Yeah.
Yes.
And a box too.
Yeah, the box, yes, sir.
The box is the important part.
Exactly, you're right.
Okay.
What, is there any way to define a reasonable time, because I know in state contracts we've been experiencing this, major supply chain shortages, just like.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear a thing you said.
Is there any way we can define a reasonable time, because I know like on state contracts, we've had some issues getting vehicles in because of supply shortages, I don't know. I mean,
With the state's mercy. You know, I mean, that's something I'm sure you guys would be willing to work through. You know you're gonna get it. We just don't know the timetable.
I don't think we had a reason to put a timetable on this. We know we need to get it, but it's not we gotta have it tomorrow.
I mean, we can start it right away, just can't guarantee when it'll be here.
And vehicles are 6 months to 9 months out. If you ordered one today,
Yeah.
you're not gonna get it for a while anyway.
The issue with the truck right now is we just spent, I think, $8,000 making it repair, and the longer it goes, the more we will put it back into, to keep it running.
Yeah. Okay, anybody got any revisions to paragraphs 2 and 3, referencing the animal control vehicle?
Just, I have one question.
Okay.
We're still gonna stay with the $40,000. If we purchase a truck under $40,000, the remainder you're asking to be used towards a dog box, is that correct?
No.
Well, the vehicle
I think
and all
4,000 is a vehicle and a dog box.
But, I mean, once we reach 40,000, we've topped out. Then say the truck and the dog box cost $60,000.
Then who pays the rest of it? That's a good question.
Mr. Chairman, I got a question.
Hold on.
The county is the one that owns the vehicle. I think the goal was to target 40,000 as being an appropriate figure that we could use to replace a truck and the dog box with. And we were hopefully in a situation where the county has more clout than we would, and you have more connections to buy things through the county, through the state's office of surplus. And I think it was a hope that we could do it for 40,000. And of course, we all know what's happened to vehicles in the last year due to the inflation and everything. So I don't know whether 40,000 to do it, but I guess we'll have to cross that bridge when we come to it. And I don't think any of us have ever insisted on a brand new vehicle. We just need a vehicle that's good, in good operating condition and serviceable, better than what we've got now.
So it could be that you might have a county vehicle that you already have, that the county road or somebody is planning on trading in, that might be a good vehicle that could be used.
It's a possibility.
You know, we're open to, we're just asking for a good vehicle.
Yeah.
We're not asking for a brand new vehicle.
And let me just say, we don't have $20,000 of surplus money right now, to, going back to the example that was given. So that would be a problem if we ran into that.
The question I have here concerning this matter is, I'll wait till they get done talking over there.
Go ahead, Scotty, I'm listening.
If we're dealing with $40,000, keep in mind, you probably, FCCA needs to jump on the bandwagon now. The reason I say this is because different trucks use different boxes depending on the size. So we all need to all of us keep this in mind.
Well,
Is that a fair?
Yeah, that's why we put it in there within a reasonable time. We're certainly willing to hop in there and help with that, but, we're just not insisting that it be done tomorrow, because we didn't know what we would encounter as far as what you all would encounter.
We're trying to be reasonable on
Sure.
this. I mean, we're not trying to be,
Yeah.
you know, and it could be that it might be, if you can buy a used animal control vehicle from somebody else that's in better shape. We're up for that, you know, just something to update.
The reason I said that, Terry, is because, like you said, times has changed, different prices. It could be more. I mean, it all depends.
Very well could be a lot more.
Joe?
Mr. Chairman, we've talked about this before in other contexts and a little bit in context of this contract, that under Tennessee law, every contract has an implied covenant of good faith and fair dealing. And there is this implied covenant in this contract that there's going to be consultation and cooperation with you. You can't cover every single possibility in a contract of this type. So I would expect that whenever you're shopping for a truck and looking around, there will be there will be, communication with them, coordination. And it's not just gonna be something that you're just gonna pick and say, here it is, you know. You'd want it to be something that would be satisfactory to them, and you'd want to talk to them about it before you committed to do it. So that would be my view of it, is that there's a covenant of cooperation here in this contract, and that they can expect that you would cooperate, you would expect that they would cooperate. And if they don't, you talk to Mr. Assistant.
Okay.
We'll cooperate.
Mr. Chairman, I'm gonna add one more thing to this. Okay, it makes a lot of sense. We know now the truck is functioning at this point. Let's just make sure we understand, we all know that this truck ain't gonna last the life of this contract.
No, and it may not last the rest of the year.
I just wanted to add that.
Yeah.
All right, any revisions? You guys see revisions? All right, moving on. All right, next section is, sections 1 through 3, which covers the rent. On page 4. Anybody see anything in those first 3 paragraphs? Seeing none, moving on. Next section would be utilities and vehicle operational costs. Which would be section 4. Any revisions on that? Seeing none, section 5, necessity services and vehicle. Any revisions on that? If I'm moving too quick, let me know. Last call, any revisions? Seeing none, moving on. Section 6 will be maintenance.
Mr. Chairman, comment to you.
Okay.
I'll have to honestly say, going and checking this out about 2 weeks ago, building, everything, records, everything, the way they conducted the outside, the way they took care of this place inside, it does show anybody that goes up there and check it out, they'll be very impressed with it. And I'll have to say that, I for one am very proud of the way they're taking care of the animal shelter.
Thank you.
I do have a question, with the extra money that is on the table, can you guys take care of the mowing and trimming the premises? Here's the only reason I'm saying that is, after talking to Trish, she said, you just have to keep the grass real low because of the ticks and stuff like that. We can request them to come out there and mow it. Can't guarantee they'll get out there as quickly as you just want them out there.
Well, we understand that.
Okay.
And of course, some of the maintenance depends upon whether or not we're able to get cooperation with the sheriff.
Okay.
And that might solve some of the problems. But, I'm okay with the language that's in there.
That should be an issue, I think it's fine.
Yeah, if it comes down to it, we do have a problem with being extended out, we can.
And I have talked to the sheriff.
In between and get them.
Yeah. I've talked to the sheriff, he's on board doing it, but I know, like I said, I know he just need to stay short, and everything like that. And I just don't want it to cause an issue where he's not out there in time and it's causing a problem.
The FCC direct question, if that comes to an issue, you all, or unless you've got family, whoever can get it mowed just in case if we're not show up, is that right? Okay, is that good, you got it covered?
I think they can do it the same way they've been doing it,
All right.
It's different times.
All right, any, other revisions to section 6, which is C needed? All right, moving on. Section 7, operations. This one has to do with any improvements. Anybody see any revisions to number 7? Seeing none, moving on. Section 8, non-assignment. Any revisions to that? Seeing none. Section 9, liabilities of lessee. Anybody see anything on that? All right, moving on. Section 10, insurance coverage by lessee. There's some subsections in there, A through D.
Hang on just a second, let's go back to.
Okay.
On page 8. This is the same and non-negligent manner except roof, guttering, downspouts, and structure. Members in heating and air conditioning units of the building. Leaseor shall maintain in a safe, non-negligent manner. The leaseor shall not have a duty to inspect the premises to determine any such matters. Rather, the leasing shall have the duty to promptly notify the leaseor of any such conditions are in need of repair. We're gonna be able to go out there and inspect. the
Yeah,
building anytime
there's
we
another
want to.
provision in here that gives you all the absolute right.
Yeah.
You can, but you don't have to.
You don't
The,
have to.
the duty is on them to report to you if there's a problem. But that doesn't mean you can't go out there at any reasonable time and look at it yourself.
Like I said, hey, I know, we've experienced the air conditioning that's out there right now. I think, hey, we set up a good manageable maintenance program. That
preventing that.
There's not anything in here that prevents you from doing that. And in fact, you would be encouraged to do that because it would lessen your potential expense to maintain it. Yes.
Thank you, that's all I have. I'm sorry, Mr. Chair.
All right, going back to, section 10, anybody have any revisions on that? See none. Section 11, inspection repairs by lesser.
No, Mr. Chairman, we're going to direct this to you also. And, Johnny, you were mentioning too, the county also has keys to the facility as well. Is that right?
I think they have keys to the building, but I don't think they have keys to the drug,
Okay.
place where the drugs are kept, and that's by federal law.
So I think the maintenance department and the mayor, is that right, guys? Okay.
Any revisions to number 11? See none. Section 12, obedience to laws. Anybody see anything on number 12?
Mr. Chairman, clarification, the guys, FCCA, I want to make sure that we all understand each other here on the keys, okay? I understand the maintenance department's got the keys to the building. Does the mayor have the keys too? Do you all know?
I have no idea.
Okay, can somebody find out for us or let us know?
I don't want it to delay this contract, but let me just say, there's usually somebody at the facility anyway. And,
I know Tony, the maintenance for Devlin.
Well, definitely maintenance is okay, but I didn't know if the mayor played a role having the keys or not. Joe, do you know anything?
I have no
Okay.
idea if the mayor had a key.
But maybe somebody can find out and let us know.
Well, I don't mind
Give me
us
just a
doing
minute,
that, but I don't want to delay.
Oh, no, I'm just a general question. Thank you.
Brendan's checking right now to see if he's got.
Okay, I mean, I'd like to know, so we have it all
Teresa
out,
says
you
she
know.
believes he does have keys. Yes.
Okay, I think it's good for the meeting, everybody to know that the maintenance department and the county mayor has the key to the Campbell County Animal Shelter.
But it's good that somebody does.
Yeah, exactly. So that needed to be brought out.
All right, seeing no revisions to section 12, we're going to section 13, limited operations. Any revisions to that? All right, seeing none. Section 14, expiration of term. Any revisions to section 14? Seeing none, section 15, eminent domain. Anything there? Seeing none, Section 16, lesser negligence. Your vision's there.
Question.
Okay.
MCCA, I think, if I ain't mistaken, maybe I'm wrong, but number 15, 16, maybe kind of, Joe, I don't know if you've seen it or not, maybe it kind of relates to if maybe something happened on the premises that you all would have done, you know, not intentionally, maybe accidental or something, that you all would take and pick up the bill on and take care of, be responsible. Is that kind of the way it works here? You want to go over it a little bit, Joe, or anybody?
This means that if the county does anything, that's negligent on your own part, that you're responsible for. Any negligence that's on their part, they're responsible for.
That's what I want to know, that's what I want to get out, yeah, definitely. Thank you, that's answered my question.
You have anything else on section 16? Moving on to section 17. I do have a question on 17. It says, that you guys can, that the lessee, I'll say that the rent above, observing, performing, keeping all and singular the covenants, terms, provisions, conditions, agreements here contained shall and may lawfully, peacefully, quietly have, hold, use, occupy, possess, and enjoy said leased premises in an animal control vehicle with the, appurtenances in every part thereof, for and during all said term and any extension thereof, without any interruption of or by any other person lawfully claiming by from under the lessor. So, say 8 months down the road, or 2 years down the road, the county says, hey, we're gonna take over animal control. We have that right if needed, correct?
I got a question.
No, wait, Commissioner.
This just means that you're not gonna interfere with their operation of this shelter. If they comply with the terms of this agreement, you're gonna leave them alone and let them operate. Bottom line, that's what this means. You're not gonna interfere with it. They'll have the quiet enjoyment of the premises.
But
If you decide to take back animal control, that would require a modification of the contract, which we've gone over a provision to that effect. And, that would be something we would have to cooperate with you on, because animal control is a part of our duties at the present time, rather than doing that. And I don't know that we would object to giving it up as such, but we would just want to make sure that
it's unright.
it was done right.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
And really, the way I see that, you two guys, is I'm talking about your heavy hitters, you know who I'm talking about. When you're talking about stuff like this and you already in a contract, and nothing's, if it's not broken, why fix it? You just kind of roll with the flow.
Well, that's the way it is now. I mean, we've been doing it.
I know that's what I was trying to say.
As long as we're doing a good job.
Why would, I'm just saying, Commissioner Barrett, why would, I'm just talking, why should we come back and visit anything? Now, if there's something going on out there that,
I'm over here if you wanna talk to me.
if there's something going on that we don't like and we don't agree with, then, you know, we all can get together like civil people and talk about it and iron it out.
I'm not saying they're not doing anything.
No, I'm just talking.
I know, what I'm saying is if, because we may not be here in a couple of months, but if there's another commission that comes here, I don't want to put them in a 5-year contract and then want to look back and say, hey, we want to take over animal control, and them not be able to, is what I'm saying. That's the only thing I'm looking at. No, I agree, I'd much rather them do animal control than us, but I'm just saying.
That's the perception we've had of this anyway, which is why we're doing it.
Right.
But if you wanted it back, I'm sure that could be done. So it would require a contract revision, but there again, that goes back to what Mr. Coker mentioned as if line comes with good faith and fair dealing, which is part of this contract.
Okay. Mr. Marley?
Number one, I think part of the reason why animal control, while we didn't put it in there that we could take it at any time, was because you would have to go through, and you would somehow have to determine, you'd have to recalibrate the monthly amount that would be paying FCCA.
Right.
Also, to Mr. Kitt's point, and I'm not trying to stir anything up, but if I recall correctly, I thought the discussion about the county potentially taking animal control over, I thought that came from FCCA. That idea didn't come from the county. So I'm just stating that as a fact, because I thought there's been some discussion about who, from both parties, as to who would be, which entity would be most beneficial to the citizens to operate animal control. And I think that's still a discussion worthy of having. But I think for right now, I think that's not something you can just go determine and have ready to go in a period of about 10 days.
Mr. Chairman, the system is working now. Why wouldn't you want to stir it all up? I'm just talking. If it's working now, I think we just leave it alone and roll with the flow.
Mr. Kiss, I'm not trying to change
I
anything.
didn't say you, I'm just talking.
I'm saying,
My own heart.
okay, if it does not do with the revision, why talk about it?
Well,
You say you're just talking.
we're talking,
Do
this
you
is in
need
this
a revision?
contract.
Do you have a revision?
I'm gonna do.
Do you
what
have
I-
a revision?
Well, it don't matter.
Do
You're
you
gonna
have-
Continue, sir.
Thank you.
Continue. You're the chairman.
No revisions to section 17, section 18.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, let me just make one point here. This contract didn't try to reinvent the wheel. Most of what is in this contract was in the previous contract. We have made some tweaks to it, but I don't think there was anything about the animal control that was different than what was in the previous contract, so.
I think you're right.
Exactly.
My apologies, I said section 18, there was an error, so there's section 18A and section 18B.
We'll fix that.
Yeah.
That's how we're gonna refer to it.
Yeah, that's how we're gonna refer to it for
On
today.
page 12, on your copies, it just says 18, refer to that as 18A. On page 13, there's another 18, refer to that as 18B.
Mr. Chairman, that was my point, I'm sorry.
Any revisions to 18A? Seeing none, we'll go down to 18B, which would be non-waiver. Any revisions to 18B? Seeing none, go to 19. Any revisions to that? Seeing none, move down to section 20. Any revisions 20? Seeing none, section 21. Actually, we could probably went 19 through 23 probably.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
have you guys had a chance to talk to the sheriff and the district attorney and stuff about, I wish you were trying to get your money back? Have you spoke to those people?
Actually, no, we haven't. From a practical point of view, I'm probably going to wait until after the election. Address that issue, as we settle down by then. We just need an indication that if a case comes up, as I think the example we mentioned, maybe in the contract, we spent $26,000 out of our pocket that we couldn't get back on an animal case. And part of the reason we couldn't get it back, there was no prosecution or pursuit of responsible parties. And we did receive some indication that there would not be any prosecutions for these to be made. And I don't know where that came from. But I do know that judges, no matter who they are, don't have the discretion to decide which cases they're going to prosecute, which cases they're going to entertain. They just have to decide what's done. The Attorney General's office doesn't want to, certainly want to take on a bunch of people who die in cases when they've got all these other bigger fish to fry. But nonetheless, in cases where there's significant loss like this, we do hope to get a prosecution of the responsible party. And if they're found to be responsible, then perhaps an arrangement can be made for them to pay us back, cover the cost of their misconduct. So that's all we're looking for. Just some assistance. We know that we can't block the Attorney General's office into who to prosecute or who not to prosecute. That's a discretionary act to a larger extent with them. But my suggestion would be for the courts to designate a specific time and day each month to try cases like that. If there are any, I hope that there won't be many. But we have had a few over the years. So,
Terry, on this case here, what, did the judge throw it out? You said no prosecution,
I don't think it ever made it to court.
so the Attorney General didn't see reason.
Well, I don't know all the details about it, what I've been told, and I haven't determined this personally, is that we incurred $26,000 in costs without being compensated for that. And that's just money that came out of our pocket because of some third party's wrongdoing. So, I don't know the details about it.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, question. Terry, and I also understand from Trish that these cases sometimes takes several years.
Takes a while sometimes, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Carrie?
Yeah.
Trish did say in that particular case, it went to court a couple weeks ago. She said, I don't know the outcome, but the ADA requested a compromise or reduction because the defendant was indigent.
That happens. It's not a guarantee. So, thanks for that information.
Any revisions, on the 19 through 23, any revisions? All right, seeing none, we'll go down to section 24. There's A through G on that. section 25. Seeing none. Section 26. Seeing none. Section 27. Oh, section, yes, I'm sorry. A. Or B?
I don't think so.
Okay. Just a second. Any revisions to that? One thing that, two things actually. Clarify one, says the FCC may establish charge, collect, and retain fees from any parties, public and private, including municipalities located within Campbell County, Tennessee, with the exception of any offices, divisions, departments, agencies, boards, or other subdivisions in Campbell County at the sole discretion. Is that just offices and divisions under the Campbell County government?
I think I know the answer, but Joe may want to answer.
Where, what page are you on?
Page 19, about midways down.
This just means that FCCA has the right to establish fees and charges that they can, set for the animals, for the services that they offer, and that if there are fees that they can collect from municipalities other than from Campbell County, then they have the discretion to do that. They can't, what they can collect from Campbell County is only what is provided in this document. But if they would be able to collect from someone else, that would be within their discretion to set those fees.
But what would also divisions, departments, agencies, and boards, or other subdivisions of Campbell County would consist of?
Just departments of Campbell County government.
So,
Something that comes out of the Campbell County Treasury.
okay.
Yeah, it says they can establish, charge, collect, and retain fees from any parties, public and private, including municipalities located within Campbell County, with the exception of any offices, divisions, departments, agencies, boards, or other subdivisions of Campbell County. In other words, if there's fees that they can collect from Jellicoe, Campbell, LaFollette, Jacksboro, then they would still have the discretion to do that, but they couldn't collect any additional fees that would be paid for by Campbell County or any of its departments.
Mr. Chairman, I also know that the reclaimed fees are all in line with the original ordinance. You know, the $45 for the first day, and then adoption fees, then $15 each day after that. Then the adoption fees and client fees are set by the FCCA. Is that right, guys? Okay. So that being said, and and do need to change, those charges need to change from time to time, is that right?
Well, in theory it is. We've got an inflationary rate right now, the last I heard was on the upside of 8% for this year. This contract only contemplates a 3% inflation, which we understand that. There's, by the way, an excellent book, if y'all want to read it, it's called The Crisis of Power, and it explains what this country is facing in the next years. And it also explains that inflation that we're experiencing right now is not the fault of any political party or any president or any group of them. It's the fault primarily of the COVID crisis, which disrupted the supply chain across the entire world. And plus, what one scumbag by the name of Putin did in Ukraine, that's caused a lot of trouble too. So those are the two causes of inflation. It's not, it shouldn't be a political game, it shouldn't be a pointing fingers at people situation. This book explains very well why the whole world is experiencing inflation. Right now, it's 8% in this country plus. We understand that there's going to be inflation, and we're going to have to deal with this as best we can.
Joe, and also, Joe, I understand that this paragraph that we're speaking about right now is also in the original contract, subsidies contract, is that correct?
It's the same as it was before, with maybe just a little bit of word tweaking, but basically, yes.
All right, thank you.
Same before.
One other thing that I was gonna see if maybe we couldn't change, can we get the financial aid activity reports monthly instead of quarterly?
Let me just say that the staff at the FCCA is strapped to the hill to keep everything going. I don't know what their ability is to provide this on a monthly basis or not. I know that Patricia has done a pretty good job so far of providing us on a quarterly basis. But at the same time, anytime anybody wants to come out there and see what's going on and what's being spent, they're welcome to do that. I think as Mr. Kitts can tell you, it's available right there for asking if you want.
Mr. Chairman, I will say to you personally, the spending, Coach Bruce, we spent 5 hours out there, I did, and I tell you, all you have to do is walk in, ask for the records, they'll show you right there, and it's all in order, everything's there, and you shouldn't have, nobody should have any problem looking at that.
Yeah, I mean, I was out there for a couple hours too myself, and she gave me a whole book of stuff, so I know what you
The
mean.
quarterly is working great,
I just don't want to put any more
exactly.
responsibility on it than that.
It would be a lot if you did it monthly, I can tell you.
Any revisions that you see on 27, I'm gonna call 27, because I don't see a B. Seeing none,
Which one young, Mr. Chairman?
go ahead.
Which one young, sir?
We're going to section 28.
All right, good, thank you.
There's pretty self-explanatory, any revisions to that? All right, section 29. Seeing none. Section 30. Any revisions to that? Section 31.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Has your board already met and approved this version?
Have we met to approve this?
Yes.
No, we were just
Okay.
looking at it at the same time.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure, so.
So we need to get this week and approve.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman. I was just gonna ask Terry and Joe, you all are pretty satisfied with number 30, if you don't mind me asking? I mean, I'd like you to kind of take a little gander at that. I really would appreciate that.
Well, what this means is that, I, on your behalf, have made revisions to this agreement in accordance with my understanding of what you want. Mr. Basista and I have talked with each other on many occasions here, and he has been in communication with FCCA, such that it was our hope that whenever this document was put together, that it represented the joint agreement that both of you had come to. So, you know, the purpose of this meeting here tonight, going by paragraph by paragraph, is to make sure that that is correct. You know, that I didn't misunderstand what you were intending. Mr. Basista didn't misunderstand what FCCA was intending, and that the two are compatible. So,
I concur in that opinion.
That sounds great, and with all of the 29 that we've had, I really think that number 30 needed to be explained just a little bit like that. And I do appreciate it, Joe.
well, I appreciate Mr. Basista having.
And Terry, we appreciate you too.
That's about it.
Thank you very much.
Any changes to section 30? All right, section 31. No revisions there. Section 32. Seeing none, section 33. Any revisions there?
Can I make a comment to you, sir?
Yes.
I will have to say again, being out there, and I've visited this facility several times before these last 4 years, and again, I'd have to say that that they're following all standards, they're following the guidelines through the state, and when I made a comment, Mr. Chairman, to Trish about let me see the books before, and you had previous, Terry, you know this, and Joe does too, we had nothing but the state issues coming in, and then when I skipped way above all this state stuff, and I made a comment to her, and I think most of them know this, is I want to see your records now. So when you go by versus from the state, when the county run it, by versus to the FCCA run it now, it's nothing but a clean shift. And I personally, my voice, my opinion for all of Campbell County, I solely do appreciate that, because we've got to answer to a lot of people.
Well, I appreciate you saying that sincerely, and we appreciate the opportunity to perform this service. And I will say that this Campbell County, Tennessee, has a lot to be proud of when it comes to its shelter. You've acquired a reputation across the state for running a first-class operating shelter. And you've got recognition from people that are involved in this and have been for years. Just very proud of what the CCA has done.
You got to take into consideration is this, it all has got to do with the people that's running the shelter and the organization FCCA. It takes that.
Makes a big difference.
Anything else on section 33? Seeing none, I'm going to open the floor to any questions or revisions before we vote on the contract? Does anybody have any? Go ahead.
Question on 31, what are the dates that would go in there? Is that the June 28th meeting?
That is when our next.
That's when the next one is, and that's when everything would be approved then? Okay.
That's why I asked if you guys had met yet, so I knew what date to pick.
We will be here very quickly.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments from anybody? I've got a question. Might be for Commissioner Kitts. I understand we're pulling 55,000 out of undesignated fund balance the first year, correct? Huh?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And where are we getting the money after year one?
You're not gonna set me in a trap like Commissioner Ward did.
I'm asking a
I'm
question.
I'm not arguing with you tonight, I'm just telling you the facts.
Okay.
We cannot speculate in the future. We can't decide where we're gonna get the money at this time. We do know that we've got $55,000. We do know we got $380,000. And by the way, we do know we got a 1 year's contract, but 5 years total contract altogether. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it, and that's what I have to say. Right now, we're good to go, Mr. Chairman.
Let me just suggest one qualification to that comment. We consider this a 5-year contract.
Yes, sir.
We know where the funding is coming from for the first year, and that includes that 55,000. My presumption is that in the second year, the county will fund what they need to fund when they do their budget, and it will come from a mix of things.
Yes, I'd say line items are kind of cut some things that we don't need and kind of help to keep the shelter open for the next 5 years. And I'll say that respectfully, Mr. Chairman, is everybody should be proud of this to keep the shelter open with no tax increase.
Oh, I agree. I think the contract's great. I don't have a problem at all with the contract. I think it's great. But respectfully, Mr. Kitts, you're wanting to take $55,000 out of non-recurring savings account is what I would consider it, because that's what it is.
Oh, yeah, we just have.
No, I'm talking, I'll
I'm
let you
gonna
finish.
comment back on to
That's totally fine.
I've always prepared for you and Commissioner Ward.
Mr. Kitts, I've got the floor.
Go ahead, you're chairman.
Exactly, so that means you need to be quiet, okay? You're asking for us to take $55,000 out of undesignated fund balance, which is basically a savings account, okay? This is a 5-year contract, not a 1-year contract, this is a 5-year contract, okay? So, how I do business is if I'm gonna buy a car or whatever it may be, I know how I'm gonna pay for it for the life of the loan. Okay, I want to do the same thing here. I'm all for the $380,000. I don't have a problem with it at all, but I want to know how we're going to pay for it for 5 years. I don't want to be in this boat a year from now trying to find out how we're going to pay for it. I want to sign a contract today or the 28th, knowing, hey, we've got FCCA for 5 years. No questions about it. We're not worrying about this in a year from now on how we're going to pay for it. Now, you said that you want to let everybody know that this doesn't reflect a tax increase. Well, when you take $55,000 out of undesignated fund balance, and you don't have a plan on how to pay for something in the future, that's reckless spending. And that eventually runs into a tax increase. And I'm not for a tax increase, and I know you're not either. But I want to know, I'm for this, but I want to know how we're going to pay for it. That's all I want to know.
Does anyone in here know the tax revenues? What will the tax revenue base be? Do you know?
We don't know.
Okay, so therefore, we've got 55,000, we're at 380, we'll cross that bridge when we get to. You're a banker, I'm a junk man. There's a big difference in that. So, to buy merchandise, you go out and buy these big old homes, do whatever you want to do, and here I go out and buy junk for a living. I don't have a fancy home, I'm a poor man. And the thing about it is, and I solely knew that when I left this building that day, after 5 hours, I knew right then that my decision was going to fight to get $55,000. Jeff Marlowe did not agree with me. That's okay. I proposed $55,000. When I left that building, I said, Trish, what will it take to keep this facility open? She said, Scotty, and I asked her after the 5 hours, sir, she said, if we can get, around 60,000, I think we'll be fine. So that being said, if you put 325 with about 55,000, and that gives it to 380, and that's going to run the shelter for the next year. Then when the time comes, when I am elected again, when the time comes, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. This right here, again, I'll say, no tax increase. You got $4 million undesignated funds. So why not use $55,000 to put with it and keep this shelter open for the county, which we deserve?
I never said I was against giving them $55,000. I'm for it, I'm okay with that. I don't know how we're gonna do it for 5 years,
We just
not
have to
year
go,
one.
we just have, Commissioner, Chairman, we just have to go with our faith sometimes, and that's what I'm doing.
Okay.
Let me just say, if Mr. Coker doesn't mind, operating an animal shelter and animal control is a governmental function, which the county of Campbell has already decided is part of their legitimate responsibility. And this is just one small part of what Campbell County does. You've got highway departments, road departments, you've got sanitation departments, you've got a variety of departments. You do all sorts of things in this county. And I know people don't want to see their taxes go up, but I bet if you pull 100 people off of the street and ask them, do you think your taxes are gonna go up someday? They're all gonna say, of course they're gonna go up. They know taxes go up. 2 years ago, if you'd have stopped somebody in Ukraine and asked them how things are going, they thought they were going pretty great. And then a few weeks later, half of their country is bombed and destroyed. And there's not any fund and money to put that back together. We don't know, any of us, what's going to happen over the next 5 years. All I know is that this is a 5-year contract as part of the Campbell County governmental responsibility. It is contracted out in part to the FCCA, and we're going to fulfill our contract. And where the money comes from, at some point, every department in this county that's funded by the county is going to be sitting down, dividing up the pie, because that's what you do. And some people may get less, some may get more. And if we're lucky, we won't have a meteor strike down at White Bridge, and then we'd be in a mess. So, I just feel that we've got a decent contract, and that there will be money funded down the road. And I think the county and the FCCA will live up to their obligations.
I agree with you, Terry, on the contract. I think it's a great contract. I just always done business, if I'm gonna buy something or if I'm gonna pay for something, I know I'm gonna pay for it. And that's the only problem I'm struggling with right now is I don't disagree with the contract at all. I think 380 is a good number as far as that goes. But we got schools that's gotta be paid for. We've got ambulance services that need to be paid for. And we can't take stuff out of that from the designated fund balance as well. I wanna give 380. But I want to know how we're going to get 380, not just year one. Because I don't want to be, if I get reelected, I don't want to be here next year trying to figure out how we're going to pay for it. I want to say, okay, we got 4 more years to worry about this, not, next year.
The short answer is, it's going to be paid for out of the county's revenue in some shape or form. I mean, that's the best we can tell. I mean, every part of the county's operation is being paid for out of the county's revenue. So that's the best answer anybody can give, I guess.
Mr. Chairman, question to you.
Okay.
If I was buying a coin collection, and if I wanted the coin collection, and I felt like that I was going to miss out on the deal, I'm going to buy that coin collection, because when I come back around to this guy's table or that source of the collection, it's done gone. And I beat myself to death saying, well, I could have bought that deal and made money. I should have just bought it. So in that case here is, there's no difference here than asking the LCCA to come up with $137,000 and a plus FCCA don't have a funding source. So that's what I'm getting at. We're the responsible party, we fund, we're the body. So I made a decision to come up with $55,000. I'm going to get elected again. I'm not going to say that I'm not, because I'm going to come back to this body and I'm going to do, I'm not going to do anything different than I did before, and I'm going to do whatever I can to help the shelter fund it, the FCCA.
Well, we appreciate that, and I will remind everybody that in spite of the significant funding that the county has undertaken, FCCA is also funding, and I think the figure was 27% or something like that, that we're funding on our own. And we don't have taxing power. The only thing we can do is get grants, and those are not guaranteed, by the way. Having a 5-year contract helps us because they won't fund on a 1-year contract or a 2-year contract. And we also are hoping for donations, and we will certainly seek to get donations. I think everybody in the county, every person I've met wants this shelter to be successful. They know what we're doing. And so that's, I guess, all I know to say about it.
Chairman?
So.
I'll leave it to this, and I'll leave you alone with it. I'll say this, the FCCA, they don't even know what the portion would be either. That being said, I would like to ask you a question, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
You've been a banker, you've been a junk man, there's a totally big difference there. Do you have any ideas where we're gonna come up with the money next year? You're a banker, everybody wants to hear you. Where we gonna come up with the money, Mr. Chairman?
Well, you hope you have growth, enough growth to cover it, is what you hope. But as a banker, you saying I'm a banker, and I am, I deal with numbers all day.
Where we gonna come up with the money?
No, you're asking me a
You
question,
got
I'm
ideas?
answering, I'm answering them.
Okay.
But I'm gonna give you my perspective too, okay? Number one, you go buy a house, all right? Your debt to income ratio has to be at a certain number, you don't get it, all right? A lot of times when people buy cars, they say, well, you know, I don't care how long I finance, as long as my payment's around $400, I can do it. Because they budget themselves, okay? They don't spend more than what they got. Okay, as long as their payment is at that $400, they can make it. But now if it goes to $500, well, that's gonna put them in a bind, Mr. Kids. You see what I'm saying? So, to answer your question on how we're going to get the money, I hope that we have enough growth in this county. We should have enough growth in this county with as much building that's going on, but we don't know that.
Is it a fair question for you to ask me what you did and me asking what you, is that fair for you?
It is, because.
I could come back and say the same thing you just said, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, but you want to sign a 5-year contract.
When you have $4 million in undesignated fund, just $4 million now,
Okay.
and you want to take $55,000 to keep an animal shelter open, and you don't, do you think that's fair?
I said I was okay with $55,000. I said that.
We're not going to be closing the shelter down if we have undesignated funds for $4 million, and to come out with $55,000, that's going to raise taxes, Mr. Chairman?
Mr.
Is that what
Kids,
you're asking me?
Mr. Kids, do you realize that we got lucky this year that we didn't have as big of a shortage in our school system as we thought? Did you know what it was originally anticipated?
Well, we came up
No.
with $55,000, I'm good with
I
that.
asked you a question. Do you know what the shortage was originally thought it was going to be?
I'm good with what I just proposed.
I answered your question. Did you know?
Yes, I did, sir.
How much was it?
I couldn't, like most people, I couldn't come exactly.
About 1.5
It
million.
was almost 1.6.
Okay, you didn't know, obviously, okay, so 1.5,
1.6.
okay, so you take 1.5 out of that 4 million, now you're down to 2.5.
Well, we can find the money somewhere for the shelter, $55,000.
I'm not arguing the $55,000, Mr. Kids. I'm okay with the $55,000. I just want to plan on how to do it for 5 years, not 1 year.
Nobody can expect the future. Like Mr. Turry said, you can't do that. You can't do that.
I do with my bills.
Mr. Chairman, we've discussed this long enough. I think, everybody's expressed their opinion.
I think we need to go and vote.
I agree with that. We have a good contract here. I just have one question. Guys, what do y'all think about it? I mean,
Personally, I think it's great.
I know y'all, you're part of the board. I'd just like to get y'all's opinion.
I agree, I do a lot of contracts and everything here looks good.
There's been some stuff addressed in there that was not originally addressed in the original contracts, that, especially the section 23, I believe it was, that I'm very appreciative that was put in here. Maybe not 23, but the one dealing with being able to at least go back and recover funds, like the 26,000 that we lost. It was not in the original contract. Those types of things make a difference.
Anyone else? Anybody, you guys on the board? Anybody here on the board?
Terry,
Okay.
Terry, can I ask you another question? Terry,
Yes.
and you may not know the answer. Where, have we made any leeway on whether whether you guys, FCCA, can charge municipalities?
Not on paper.
Okay.
There have been some discussions, and I'm not gonna identify with who, or which city was involved, or cities, other than to say that I think the first point is they're waiting to see what the county does. And I'll be candid with you, the rationale there is the cities are part of the county, and the residents of the cities pay county taxes and city taxes. And so they're looking, they don't want to be double whammy, so to speak. But I have received some indication that once this is resolved, they would be amenable to assisting us in some financial form. But it will be money not paid to the county, the money goes directly to the FCCA. And it would be theoretically proportional to what services we provide for the cities.
Be great.
So there is some hope in that area.
Be great. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if we could I'd like to make a motion to approve the revised contract for the animal shelter lease agreement.
Okay. Motion by Mr. Kitts, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. King. Any other discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Tyler King,
Yes.
Scotty Kitts.
Yes.
Zachary Marlowe,
Yes.
Johnny Bruce.
Yes.
Dwayne Fair.
No.
That's 4 yes, 1 no. Motion passed.
Anything else that needs to be brought up?
I would like to state, if you don't mind,
Go ahead.
that this contract has passed committee, and it'll be going to the full commission on the 28th. Is that correct, sir?
That is correct. And I'd like to state that if Mr. Kitts can find me the funding for 5 years, I'll be all for this contract.
How about a bank loan, take it to all?
Hey, we can do it. We can get you that municipality rate for sure. Need a motion to adjourn.